be saddled with that concept of the high density. Now, the thinking in larger urban areas spread out, which is why public counties so high, right? So people want more space around them, more open area, etc. So again, all I'm saying is it's a clear trend. I showed you a chart. You see the graph. It's kind of fallen off out of favor. That's what I'm trying to say. So be careful. Your prices expand at two neighborhoods. Here's our single family. Yeah. Pam Foley. Yeah, great, Pam.
While we're talking about the PUDs, I just have a question for you.
Hi. Oh, I'm not hearing you. Your audio is not working yet.
We are seeing pushback on that, Pam. Thanks. Great question. I just saw a report that came out. This is July numbers. So July, fairly recent. For the first time in 4 months, we said a slight uptick in rents in California.
Let me see if I can help with it. Unmute. See if that does it.
There we
Okay,
go.
try again.
How about
There
that?
we go. Hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
I'm gonna make you a co-host,
Okay.
and that way you can share your screen. You know how to do that?
Yep.
All right. And do you have any other questions? You need anything else from me
Nope.
before we get started? Okay. So I will hide myself and mute myself. And, if you don't mind introducing yourself right at the beginning, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
And thank you. And then
Absolutely.
if I can, I'll jump back on right at 10, just to help say goodbye. But you're
Wrap it
a
up.
co-host now, so you should be good to go. Okay.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Thank you. And then Kimberly, just wait. Some people are right on time and some people take a minute or two, and you're welcome to get started right at 9.
Okay.
And just know that more people will jump on a little bit, a few minutes late. Okay.
Okay. Great.
I also have some instructions that I put in the chat that I will put in a couple of times during the hour, because I learned the other day that if I put them in now and people haven't joined, they don't see them. You don't see the chat until you join.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm holding off on putting a bunch of stuff in that nobody's going to see. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hello, Kimberly.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So you're from the Campbell office.
Yes.
Great. When you talk, your mouth isn't moving.
It isn't? Is my video not working well?
You're okay. Jordan, am I the only one that sees that the voice is a little off of the mouth?
I think everyone's kind of is it's kind of like an audio visual thing, just a slower
No
thing.
problem.
The good news is you'll be watching the PowerPoint, not me. So
Yeah, it was happening to me a little bit yesterday too on another meeting, so it may be just a little off.
okay, we'll wait a few more minutes. Do we know how many people are supposed to be on that registered? Anybody know?
I could check, but it's typically been between 20 and 30 people.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
As far as I'm concerned, it should be about 150.
Well, a lot of people must be really busy and doing a lot of lead generation. So
Let's hope.
let's hope. So what's the market out there for the people that are on? Anybody have any input on what's happening in your area, what you're focused on?
It's absolute insanity right now. It's just insane. Yeah,
For me.
I wrote an offer for a client, and this was down in Paso Robles, but wrote an offer for them for $900,000. We got outbid by $110,000.
My gosh.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know. It's, I actually just closed on my last buyer. I don't really have any buyers. I have a lot of listings right now, and it's really crazy. Single family seem to be doing better than condos, but maybe that's off. I had some condos early on in the shelter in place, and surprisingly, they were going very slowly, but my single family homes are just flying. So I don't know if that's changed or not. Let's see, where are we? What time is it? It's a little after 9. Is everybody okay if we wait about 5 minutes?
I'm fine.
That's okay with me.
Okay. Yeah, it's like people that are purchasing now, if they would have purchased just 3 months ago, the price, I mean, all things being equal, homes staying steady in pricing, they're paying about 10% less because of the interest rate drop. Does anybody know what the interest rates are today? I don't know. Is it still like in the high 2s?
Mid twos I've been seeing.
Mid 2s? Wow. Yeah, I don't have any buyers right now, but I'm seeing across the board, all the offers on my listings are anywhere from mid 2 to high 2s. That's like almost free money. That's crazy time. What about closing times? What are people seeing as far as loans closing? 30 days, it appears to be around 30 days, 25 to 30 days. Is that the case with people that are on the call here?
I had one sale and it closed in 30 days.
Appraisal holdups I'm seeing. Okay, interesting. 30 days, yeah. I had one that just closed. It was a 70-day close. It was a nightmare. First time home buyer
I can beat
program.
that. I had a 6-month one.
Wow.
I haven't seen,
6
I
months.
literally haven't had a 70-day close of escrow since back in the foreclosure short sale days. So.
Well, when we went into lockdown, I had a very paranoid buyer, and we negotiated so that she wouldn't have to remove any of the contingencies until the pandemic had been released in San Mateo County and Santa Cruz County. So we're lucky we got it sold, because we'd still be in escrow.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's crazy. All right, I think we're probably going to start now. Hopefully we've got, people on board. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Kimberly Leal, and I'm a realtor over at Silicon Valley office in Campbell. And I have been at the same office since I started my career in November. It'll be 16 years. And so I've been with Keller Williams since the day I got my license. So
That's a good sign.
yeah, it's been pretty good. I keep my head down, don't really pay attention to anything except for when Mike says we have to go to contract classes. So let's see, today we're going to talk about finding seller leads. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? Any burning questions that maybe we want answered through this process? Anything? Let me know. I think everybody can unmute themselves if they want to. Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Yes. Anybody? Nope. Okay. So, have most of you been going through this Ignite series?
Yes.
This is the number 8, so I'm assuming most of you have been going through the series. Is there anything that has been, you know, that you're grateful that you've learned? Anything that's kind of one of those moments like, oh, now I get it? Anything like that? I remember going through these classes when I first started, and there were times when the light bulb went off and went, oh, I get it now.
Right. Well, for me personally, it's just knowing that there's such a great community here at Keller Williams. If there's anything that I'm personally lacking information-wise, I have that peace of mind knowing that there's someone that I can reach out to.
You know what? That is actually probably one of the most important things for me when I was starting out. I literally, my mentor, so the mentor program's great. My mentor was on vacation, and I had gotten my first, I think I was writing up an offer. And so it was late in the evening, and I was walking through the hallway. I had my notes next to my contract that I've been studying, you know, for how long before I wrote an offer, a few months. And I found somebody in their office, and I said, I cannot remember what this means. Can you help me? And it was a guy I didn't know, Mark Bernstein, if anybody knows him. Anyway, he said, you know, he helped me out, and I went, oh, thank you so much. And I thought, wow, I don't know of any other company or real estate company that would do that, right? So that's pretty cool. Well, that's good to hear. All right, so today we're going to focus on how to cultivate your leads into seller opportunities. So there's 2 ways a successful agent, there's 2 things that a successful agent does every day. They grow their business, and then they run their business. Growing their business means, you know, you're moving it forward, lead generating for buyers and sellers. Make seller listing presentations and get listings. Make buyer presentations and get listings. Preview real estate. The other part of it is running your business. And that's like you're marketing your seller listings, showing buyer houses, negotiating contracts, transaction managing, vendor management, setting goals, all those kinds of things, managing your money. And that's, a lot of people get wrapped up in all of that. And when you get really busy, sometimes you forget the other side, which is growing your business, which can be, you know, it's a juggling act. And it's something that I struggle with. I think every agent struggles with that, trying to balance that growing because, you know, being a successful agent, it's not a secret. Success leaves clues, so we know exactly what successful agents do every day, and you have to find that balance. So this is kind of really important to think about that. And each activity is crucial for your business to be running smoothly. And the goal of our time is kind of the model what successful agents do every day and show you how to do it. So today we're really going to talk about lead generating. Let me see here, I'll get to the next screen. Yeah, for buyers and sellers. So that's our focus. And part of this is really understanding how important your database is. And I'm sure that they have been, you know, talking about your database and how important that is to nurture it and take advantage of your sphere of influence, allowing them to launch into other, you know, that allows you to launch into growing and running your business. So I hope all of you are working on that database. Maybe we have some seasoned agents on this meeting today and some newer agents. But what I can tell you is that will never stop. Growing your database it should not ever stop. You're going to be nurturing. Some people will fall off of your database. Some people will move up in the priority, things like that. But your database is going to consist of a lot of different people, I'm hoping. So our goal today is to teach you the skills you'll need to go from having a contact in your sphere of influence to setting a listing appointment. What took me some time to understand was why listings were so important. As a newer agent, I mean, some agents, you know, right off the bat do get listings, but as a newer agent, typically you're going to have buyers. And I was so thrilled to have buyers, to have any business. Really, when I started, it was just very exciting to say I'm actually a realtor and I'm growing my business and I'm actually running a business. So it didn't occur to me, or, you know, they kept saying listings, leads, listings, leverage, and I just didn't understand that. And so and I'm sure you've been hearing this all along, but listings will give you more leverage. They will give you buyers and they will give you more listings. So that will grow your business really quickly. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to find seller leads. We're going to understand kind of seller's motivation, qualify and convert seller leads, pre-qualify the sellers, and talk about the listing questionnaire and presentation. I'm not sure if we're going to get through the whole listing presentation. I mean, that could take up an entire hour in itself, and that would be a good kind of side class just to do some role playing with listing presentations. But we will go through these things today. And so let's move on to, so there's this really little caveat to this whole thing. This next slide is kind of interesting. It's just kind of thrown in there. But basically it's telling you if you're going to be, you know, calling for listings, or you're calling, you know, you're doing cold calling. This must be a really big deal because we've put an entire slide into here to make sure that we understand that you have to subscribe to a registry. So we have something, I guess each market center has a registry. You need to check on those call sheets. I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about. There is a service that we subscribe to, I think each office does, and this is a call list that you can use, that you can call around your listings or cold call. And I believe that they are screened, but you have to make sure when you're looking at that list that they do not have do not call. And as you make your call list, make sure that your registry is updated regularly and that you honor the consumer request. If they say, please don't call me again, make a note of that. Is everybody clear on that? This apparently must be really important because there's a whole slide on it. Okay, you should only be calling. So here's the thing too, you know, when people subscribe to your newsletters or they sign up on your open house, well, from your old open house when you used to have open houses, you know, they're essentially saying that you can call them. So that would probably go into your database, your sphere of influence, your, you know, all those kinds of people. I mean, they should be fine and they're in your database. But if somebody does say, don't call me again, you got to really kind of respect that. Okay. All right, finding seller leads. So I could do a whole hour on this alone. So what is your number one job as a real estate agent? Do people know?
It's a problem solve.
I will say buy and sell houses.
Lead generation. Lead generation. So what are you supposed to do every day? All right, so we're supposed to, yes, we're supposed to, there's a few things that we're supposed to be doing, but you feed your database every day. So as you're out and about, you are at events, most of them are Zoom events now, but you know, you meet people, you know, 10 years into my business, I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I have not had like my 4 best friends' parents in my database. Like for 10 years, it just hit me like, I cannot believe this. So, you know, every day sit down and think, who do you know? Who knows you? From your previous careers, most certainly, you know, your kids' baseball teams, all those people, I'm sure would love to hear from you. So feed your database every single day. Next thing, daily 10-4. So do you guys do you know what the 10-4 is? Okay. Okay, so so I belong to the Brian Buffini idea ways of doing things. And some of you have heard of him, some of you haven't. Joe Stump as well. So Joe Stump and Brian Buffini used to work together. So they focus a lot on referrals. 95% of my business is by referral. So that's kind of my thing. Some people they have their own personality, they have their own thing. Mine is by referral, and then also listings and some internet stuff. So the 10-4 daily, here, let me escape here for a second and see if I can show you. Here's your 10-4. Okay, so in your Ignite toolbox, if you don't know about it, when you go into your KW Connect, where you got your information for today's meeting, there is a toolbox in there, and there are so many pieces of helpful tools that you can use in your day-to-day business. So plan your day. This is a daily 10-4. So basically it says, add 10 people to your database. Speak to 10 people in your database. Once you speak to them or left them a message, handwrite them 10 notes. And then know your market, preview 10 homes a week. Those are the things that that's it. It is so simple. Maybe not easy, but super simple. This is the you know, the special sauce that successful agents use. Now I have to tell you.
Success is simple, not easy.
Right.
It is so true. So I have to tell you that, you know, this is always going to be a work in progress. It's a work in progress for me, and I'm into this almost 16 years. But the note cards, the phone calls, previewing homes so you know your market. If you really like a specific area and you really want to focus on it, go and see every single home. When you sit in front of someone, a buyer or a seller, and you sit in front of them and you can speak to them about that market, I would say 90% of your fellow or your colleagues are not going to be able to do that. And it just increases your level of professionalism and gives them trust. All right. So that's the 10-4. And it's a great tool. All right. Let's see if I can go back here. It's always tricky. Okay. From current slide. All right. Let's go there. All right. So daily 10-4. Okay, call, notes, contacts, and preview home. All right, so remember that. That alone could keep you so busy. And you know what? I remember when I was starting to do this, and I was making the call, sending the notes, and I said to my husband, it was like 2 weeks in, and I said, I can't believe no one is calling me or responding. And he said, well, you know, people have super busy lives, but trust me, they know and love you. They will call you or they will respond. And sure enough, about a week later, so it takes some people time, right? Because they're super busy. But, you know, that little seed, they're like, wow, I can't believe they called me. And they sent me a note. Like nobody does that. And people, I have literally gotten thank you notes for the notes. It's so funny. So people like that. It's that little extra step. Okay. So let's see, where else can you find seller leads? So again, I could go for days on this. Anybody want suggestions on where I get my seller leads? Okay. So people you know and love, right? Family, friends,
just say
neighbors.
Like to.
Go ahead.
The previewing real estate too. I've had people come out and be like, oh, and that could be a potential seller lead. And if not, hopefully they know someone wanting to sell.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Actually, when I what was I doing? Something for one of my listings, and there were a couple people sitting out there. I don't double end my transactions, so I refer that business out, but chances are 99% of the time that home is not going to be a good fit for them. So then now you have a buyer lead. So if you run into people that, you know, depending upon your philosophy on how you do your business, I know perfectly great people that do, you know, double end transactions. I just personally don't do that. And, but, you know, you can meet people if you're out previewing. You might, if people are walking or strolling by, stopping by to try to get the phone number on the, you know, on the listing or whatever. And I'm telling you, you can get leads that way too. Okay, so people you know and love, people you go to church with. A lot of times now, everything's during Zoom. And, you know, people are asking, oh, how are you doing? What's going on? And if they know you're a realtor, I mean, don't be a secret agent. We always hear that. Don't be a secret agent. You know, make sure people understand what you're doing. You know, if you haven't done this already, write a note to every single human being you know and letting them know that if you haven't switched careers, that maybe you're continuing this career or you've moved over agencies or whatever, but to let them know where you're at and what you're doing and why this is so exciting for them to know that. So then automatically, no matter what, people want to know what's going on in real estate. And so now you're going to be their go-to. Now, sometimes family and friends, they feel that's too close to have you know, they just don't like that, but they'll refer you to people, right? So just make sure that everybody knows that. So you've got your database that includes your, you know, friends and family, people you love. Geographic farming, you know, you can do that. Right now, I don't think we can, you know, walk the neighborhoods or anything like that, but you've got internet, right? So there's OpCity, HomeLight, Zillow, Mellow Home, things like that. I know a couple of my colleagues really got their start from OpCity or one of the other ones. So that was how they generated leads. Personal interest groups, your meetups, you know, your Zoom bunco groups or, you know, those kinds of things, professional groups. Oh yeah, so professional groups, that's a good way to, you know, you can join all kinds of professional groups now because you don't actually have to drive to their location. So kind of search Eventbrite. Eventbrite has a good way to search, you know, professional meetings and join some meetings and see if there's other realtors in that group. And if there aren't, that's a great way for you to, first of all, build your professional profile, but also to get referrals. It's a great way to get referrals. Kids from your sports groups, clubs, teachers, things like that. Of course, all of that is kind of put on hold, but you still know them. And I know there's lots of Zoom groups, so that's another way to get it out there. And then another way to get you know, people into your database and get leads are professional partners. This is one of the big moments for me when I realized what a huge opportunity that was. So I'm talking about trust attorneys. So for probate, divorce, things like that. Connect yourself up with, you know, one or two people. And I'm telling you how I did it was I called, well, so I found out from just, I did a general request from people, maybe on Facebook. I can't remember how I got them, but I called other professionals and said, who would you recommend I would call? And then I literally called them and said, hey, so-and-so recommended to talk to you. I'm building my professional partnership team and, you know, I want to help everybody grow their business. So, you know, I'm interviewing like-minded professionals so that I can add you to my group to round out my business. So when I can refer business to my clients, like they need CPAs, financial advisors, trust attorneys, things like that. And I can't tell you how open these professionals were because first of all, I was going to interview them to see if we might be a good fit to be part of my circle. And then, you know, and if you get one or two from each one of these professional partners a year, that could give you your cap, right? So that's just one thing to think about. Any questions so far?
No.
No. Okay, let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay. Open houses. I have not done any virtual open houses. Anybody on this meeting, have they done any virtual open houses? And if they have, what kind of return on that have you received? Have you gotten leads, things like that? Anybody? No, I really haven't gone to that approach. My clients were like, you know what? I really want just people who have to jump through some hoops to get to my house, because those are the people that really are interested in purchasing my house. So not really interested in having any sort of open house, even if it's a virtual open house, because they'd rather have people that really want to come to the house and see it and potentially make an offer. So that none of my sellers are interested in that. So I guess it could be a good lead generation, but I haven't heard that so far. So I don't know if anybody here has. Okay, so open houses. And then this, of course, referrals, this is my biggest lead source. And this is referrals from other agents too. Keller Williams is really big on referrals from other agents, and there's a lot of referral ways to get referrals through Keller Williams. Is everybody familiar with that through Command or or Kelly? Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about qualify and convert seller leads. First, you need to connect with them so that that they know that you're their real estate agent of choice, or at least you're the go-to person when there are questions about real estate, or even really anything to do with their home. I can't tell you how many times I have eventually listed a home when it was maybe a friend of a friend that was looking for a plumber, and then they were looking for a painter. And then, they just came to rely on you. And of course, at the same time, you're doing a drip system and all those kinds of things, right? To keep those leads going, those will convert. So you just need to people need to know that you're going to be their realtor of choice. And you need to understand, once they become a contact, then how do you find out what kind of lead are they? Right, so what's the priority? Is this person a long-term person? Then you have a certain marketing campaign to those people. If they're maybe 6 months out, that's a whole different lead. And then you have your A leads, which these people are ready to go in the next few weeks. Okay, so once somebody says they're willing to sell, then that's when you sit down with them. Well, maybe not sit down with them, maybe you're on the phone. Usually when I get a seller lead, we have a chat on the phone typically, or we'll do a Zoom call to kind of get to know each other and kind of find out what is motivating them to sell, and is this the right time to sell. So what you're going to want to do is have some sort of connecting questions. All right. So these are your connecting questions. So you're going to be talking, these are some things that you can ask while you are on the phone with them. So there's, you've connected with them, they know you're the real estate agent, you're a real estate agent, and they're interested enough to have this conversation with you. So as you go through this, they're going to see you as someone that's really concerned about why they are selling and how serious they are selling, and also how you can help them. So it just makes you much more, at a higher level in our profession. Assess their wants and needs. Now, sometimes I have to admit, when I am doing this, I have in the past, it almost sounds like you're interrogating. So you have to be careful when you're asking them the question, right? They have to be in a place where these questions seem to be appropriate. Like sometimes with an internet lead, these are too probing, right? It's almost too much. And sometimes this is appropriate. So you just have to kind of feel the situation out. But really what you're wanting to do is, where do these people fall? Are they an A, B, or C, right? Are they long-term or are they short-term? And where do I put them in my marketing? What's my next steps, right? So depending upon where they are in this, that's when you go to your, your next steps. So connecting is super important part of your prospecting, right? So you can put somebody in their database and 2 months from now, they're not going to know who the heck you are. So there's got to be something that connects you, right? So asking these questions. People want to do business with people they see as motivated, capable, and likable. People like to do business who, they feel are going to do a good job. Focus on connecting with the seller so that you can gain and build rapport, and also find out how willing and ready they are. So they may be willing, but maybe they're not ready. And what are the life events motivating to think about selling? So right now, there's so many things. I need to have a home office. We need to have a bigger house. Or my house is just too big. I need to downsize. Or, you know what, I've always wanted to move to the beach, and now is the time. I don't need to be in this house. This is a huge house. I'd rather have a condo and a 2-bedroom by the ocean and, be good to go. So there's opportunities to be the listing agent and a buyer's agent at the same time, right? That's really fun to do, actually. Okay. So fully understanding the seller's motivation and how strong that motivation is helps you move forward your ultimate goal, a transaction. So, how do you feel about these questions? Do you feel like they would get you to a point where you would understand where they are and what they're doing?
Yes.
I mean, these are good questions.
Yeah, because if they start to tell you about the family, you'll get to find out the motivations there, because that's, important. These are very good questions, actually. Why are you moving? Yeah, it gets to the root of everything. And that way it gives you a better focus when you're out, helping them.
Absolutely. And you know what else it does is it gives you information on, when you see something that might be interesting to them, focus towards them, not a generic thing, but hey, something specific. Like, of course, they're moving somewhere else. They're moving to Idaho. Okay, well, great. I just was talking to my, colleague in Idaho, and they said that they're opening up this whole new blah, blah, blah by the lake. And I know that's somewhere you wanted to go. Would you like to have a chat with them? Give them the information. Or I know you were waiting for, I don't know, the stock market to hit here, or the interest rates to be there, or whatever. So this gives you specific to them, which makes them feel like you care, which you should care, right? But even if they're not A's, they're B's or C's, you're going to move them up to that next level. I mean, a lot of my sellers that I'm talking to now, they were talking about this a couple of years ago, and life events have changed. Like, things happen. People get, sick, or the kids are moving away or whatever, right? So any time, just because it's a C client that they're not doing anything right now, and trust me, if you are in contact with them and giving them information that's important to them, they are going to at least consider you when they are going to make that move. Let's see. Just, you know what, it would be good if you're not taking notes, maybe make a couple notes about this. These connecting questions also are in that toolbox.
Okay.
Okay. How are we doing on time? All right, good. All right, so remember I was talking about seller lead categories. So here's our categories. These people are able and ready and willing to do business in 0 to 14 days. So this is, and as you have, these different leads, depending upon who they are, you're going to have different marketing strategies, different messaging, different things for them. So A's, I would focus a lot of effort on A's. get your B's and C's into your drip system, but let's focus on A's. So you're in a follow-up. This is hot burning. Let's get this done now, right? So you're focusing your effort on your A's and not losing focus on B's and C's. So B's may move up to A's sooner than you think, okay? So I wouldn't, put them completely out because they're, within the next couple of months, that's still pretty hot. So anyway, so daily follow-up, secure an appointment, get in front of them. Once you've had your questions, your probing questions about what they're doing, then have something specific to every day to follow up with them on those things, all right? If a lead gets a score of a C on your scale, there are so many things that you can do to keep them moving and thinking about you and thinking about selling and why they might sell. So I'm sure you've all heard about the 33 touch. Is that correct? The 33 touch? If you haven't, so this means that these people, all my clients, everybody in my database gets touched more than 33 times, but a year. But, a newsletter. So Command has a newsletter system, or eEdge Command, that goes out 12 times a year. I have a market stats report that I have been subscribing to for like 12 years. And everybody in my database gets that. And it's a really cool recap of the previous month's stats, what's happening in the county, how many homes are on the market, what's the median price, and then it's broken down by city. It's a really great newsletter. But then also there's a online component to that they also get an automatic email sent to them, and it's an engaging type of website that they can touch things and the graphs will move and they can put in their own specific parameters, things like that. And the engagement is great. I've never, ever used anything that has gotten this much engagement. And so that is something, so that's your 24. That's 24 out of your 33. Then you're going to do quarterly notes, right? Note card. Hi, what's going on? Every couple of years, I send every one of my clients that own a home a CMA, and then I have my title company create a property profile, beautiful property profile, and I send it to them in this pretty white envelope with a little note card. And depending upon the timing, boy, oh boy, you might be able to generate 3 or 4 listings in the next, few weeks based on that. Because then you make the phone call, hey, did you get my information? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's been 12 years since I owned my home and we've got, $1 million equity, crazy, that kind of thing. We've always wanted to either pull some equity out and buy a home in Tahoe, or, I think it's time for us to downsize, or we've always wanted a bigger home, or whatever. So it just starts the conversation more on a serious level. And then also just call them and go, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. Let's do a Zoom meeting. Or you can still have coffee, right? You can still kind of socially distance and have coffee, and that's inexpensive. So most of this stuff is very inexpensive. And you're touching your clients or your people in your database at least 33 times, right? Which is super important. And be consistent. Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Okay, we're not going to role play today. All right. Okay, finding your lead's motivation is the first step in turning a warm lead into a closed client. When you're completing your daily lead generating activities, your goal is to convert those leads into appointments. That's the bottom line. Appointments turn into actual listings. You might get an appointment from a person you called, but if not, you might get a referral for someone that's thinking about buying or selling. So always kind of say, hey, don't forget, let me know, can you think of anyone that's thinking about buying or selling right now? And, you know, sometimes, you know, off the top of their head, they're not going to remember. But then a follow-up note to them, you know, say, hey, don't forget, and here's my card, whatever. You'd be surprised at how often you will get, you know, just text me their information, or text. So people really like this now. It feels less invasive. Like they'll do a text introduction. Like an email introduction might almost be too much, but they will do a text introduction. So I've been getting more and more of those. Yeah, isn't that interesting? So referrals are awesome. And like I said, sometimes friends and family feel like maybe you're a little too close, but they will be willing to refer for business to you. That first time when your you know, family member, you realize that they're using another agent, your heart is going to fall into your stomach and you're going to want to throw up. But it happens to everybody and it really sucks. But they may be willing to refer you. They just don't feel comfortable having you knowing, you know, people get really funny with finance. So creating a reciprocal relationship is how you turn a lead into a contract, someone that you have permission to follow up with. For a seller lead, that means asking how you can connect and meet with them. For a referral, this means asking how they can connect you with the people that know that, you know, you'd want them to meet. Once you've determined the seller or the seller referral is motivated and willing to sell, ask for an appointment using these two steps. So ask for the business. When will you be ready to sell? How about, so I've used this a lot of times, and it's not like hardcore. It's like, we're thinking about a couple months. Well, that's a perfect time. We're thinking about 6 months. Well, that's a perfect time for me to maybe pop over. And, you know, of course, I've got my masks and, you know, I'm using all the safety procedures, but maybe we will take a walk through your house and think about some things that you might want to do in preparation for your home selling, because then that gives you time to, you know, get the process done. It's not so hectic, and, you know, you can kind of budget it over the next 6 months. And then we'll revisit in the next 3 months. I'll pop over and see what you've done, and maybe we can, you know, have some suggestions. So that is a really soft way for you to start your rapport, build that relationship. They feel, you know, accountable to work with you, or not accountable, but they feel a sense of responsibility to work with you, or what's the word I'm looking for? Because you've given them help, you've been in contact with them, you're showing them you're professional, you're keeping them updated with comps, and maybe you put them on a you know, listing alert so that they know what's sold or what's coming up, you know, that kind of stuff. So just be ready when they're ready. What was that?
Obligated. Obligated.
Thank you. Thank you. Geez, that just was not coming to me. So then, you know, then just say, you know, I've got an opening on Thursday at 2, or is there another day this week that might work for you, right? And so at that moment, they, oh, you know, that's actually a good idea. There's no obligation. I do this all the time. I do it for my neighbors. They're not even selling their house. So I'm happy to do it. I've got all the vendors, so don't worry about it. So that's kind of something to think about. So you're capturing the lead, you're connecting with them, you're cultivating it, and then you're closing for the appointment. Those are your 4, that's the 4, you know, you're funneling it down to the point where you're getting the appointment. The more appointments you get, I mean, really, the more leads you get, the more connections and cultivating, the more appointments you're going to get. And the more appointments you get, the more experience you're going to get in overcoming objections, refining your presentation, finding out what works and what doesn't work, because there are going to be things that aren't going to work, and it might not happen the first time around. But you're going to, you know, assess yourself and figure out what worked and what didn't work. But those are the 4, that's kind of the funnel that you want to follow. All right, so now that you've covered how to find and convert our leads, let's move on to how to pre-qualify them. once you know the seller is willing to sell and has agreed to have an appointment with you, you should really pre-qualify them. So we talked about that, willing, and now we're pre-qualified. So here, let me see if I can show you the pre-qual. So these pre-qual questions are in your toolbox, like I said. Okay. So these are kind of, here. These are, I guess these are the same. These are the connection questions. Hold on. Okay, so a little bit like the connection questions, but we're kind of talking now, we're here in the appointment, and now you're talking to them about how soon are they going to sell, what happens if you don't sell your home, how much do you want to list your home. I mean, people are going to have an idea of what their home's worth, and they use, I don't know, 50% of the time they're going to think it's worth way more, especially, you know, internet leads I found for listings. My house is worth $1.5 million, and I pull up the information, you know, look on MLS, do some research, and, you know, their house at best is worth $950,000. So, you know, depending upon how realistic people are, but hopefully you've gotten to the point where you've had conversations with them and now you're in the appointment and have true information. So these are the questions that you kind of talk to them. You know what, this one, it looks like, this does look like it's a pre-meeting one. Sorry about that. I thought this was the, this is pre-listing questionnaire. Okay. Anyway, when you're talking to them about their listing, this basically is what you're going to ask them about when you're talking to them. You're going to ask them about what their what they think their home value is. What are their thoughts on the market and how quickly things are moving. Talk to them about, you know, what's happened to their neighbor's home. Why did their home sell for XYZ? So if you are, if there are homes that are active, go see those homes before you go to the listing appointment. Don't show up to the listing appointment not driving the neighborhood, because this happened to me early on in my career. I don't know what I was thinking, not thinking, I guess. But, you know, there's a house around the corner, a house down the street that's pending, or so, I don't know. I didn't have my stats. So know the neighborhood. I'm by referral, so I'm not so much a neighborhood. You know, you're not going to see 12 signs of mine on 3 streets. I'm by referral. That's a whole different, you know, conversation. But if you're focusing on a neighborhood and you're really going to farm hard, then, you know, be that neighborhood expert. Make sense? All right. Get back to the PowerPoint. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay. Perfect. All right, so pre-qualifying sellers, we're, you know, kind of bringing this baby home. We keep saying this. Don't waste your time. If people, I don't know, I'm not sure, you know, that's great. Put them on a drip system and keep, you know, following up with them for, it doesn't hurt you. There is no harm in having these people in your drip system, right? There is no harm for you following up until they say, yeah, we're just never going to sell. But maybe they're going to refer you, so who knows? There's no harm in that. I don't think there's really any extra money for you to have a drip system. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so understand the seller's motivation. Position yourself as an expert. So know your market that you're speaking about. Know what's going on in that neighborhood. Ask them for their support. Hey, I've been driving around the neighborhood. I'm checking MLS for coming soons. I'm checking Zillow for coming soons. Sometimes, you know, you'll see that there's a lot of activity that's coming up. That's good for them to know. If you see a lot of the containers in front yards, that's something good to know, because most likely those people are going to be moving at some point, right? And knock on the, well, I guess you can't really knock on the door, but if you're walking by or if you see them and they're out there, ask them, hey, are you guys going to be selling your house anytime soon? So here's an example of what happened with one of my listings. So I talked to my clients, this was last year, and the market just started heating up again. 2019 was a really weird beginning of the year. 2018 was super crazy hot, and I can't remember what happened in 2019 early on. But my client decided she's retiring and she's going to sell her house. And I said, okay. So at that moment in time, the market was starting to heat up. I said, let's move on this because I'm not sure what's going to happen. And I don't recall, I think they thought interest rates are going up. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I said, I was driving around your neighborhood and I saw no less than like 6 containers out on the street, and I see a lot of coming soon. I feel like we need to get on the market before these people. So anyway, they dragged their feet, and 2 months later, we go on the market, and literally 9 homes came on the market the next week. So, the market is what it is at that moment in time. So, keeping your clients up to date. If I didn't know that stuff, we would have gotten, hit across the face. But because I told her, I said, I see these things, they're coming. So if we are late in the game, it's going to take us longer to sell, and maybe we're not going to get as much. And that's what happened. So there was no shock. She wasn't upset with me because I knew what was going on, right? So just make sure you know your market. Will your clients allow you to maybe set the price of the home? That's kind of, can you work together as a team? That's really important. I mean, they may want to price high, let them know what the potential is. And if you go with that, you don't want to lose the listing, then you say, all right, if we don't see any traction in the next 2 weeks, then you're going to agree to list the house at where I said to list the house. If you don't get agreement on that, this is going to be a nightmare, right? And maybe they don't really want to sell their home. Let's see, properly set seller expectations. So just make sure that they know what potentially is around the corner, right? Just be up to date on what's happening. It's really important. Let's see. Use your time wisely, super important. Don't spin your wheels on someone that actually is not going to sell. People may want to sell. This happened to me. I literally had to divorce my client. I had to tell her, you know what? Looks like you don't really want to sell your home, which is fine. I'm here to sell homes, not list. That's not my job. My job is to sell your home, and it seems like that's not what you want to do. So let's just call it a day. I'll send you a cancellation. You can find somebody that maybe is better suited to you, or when you're ready to sell, because you just don't waste your time on people that don't want to sell. All right. We talked about the pre-listing questionnaire. You can download this from the electronic toolbook. Now, does everybody understand where to go on that? Let me see if I can find the document so I can tell you exactly. Shoot, I don't think I have that in front of me. If you want to know how to get that toolbook and you can't find it, do you want to just email me? Let me see here. Let me put my, I'm not exactly sure how to get you my information. Well, my email is K, my first initial, my first name, and my last name. So it's KLEAL@kw.com. So if you don't know where to get the pre-listing questionnaire, or what was the other item that I had for you? There's another tool in here. The 10-4 daily tracker. So let me know, and I will get you that, how to find that in KW Internet, okay? Happy to help you with that. Okay, where are we at? We're 9:55. Okay, We're not going to role play. We don't have time for that today. Okay, so the next is the listing presentation. So log on to Command. Have you all seen the listing presentation template? I'm hoping. If you don't, they're lovely. They're very clean. There's you can add to them, you personalize them. There are other options in Michael Lewis Marketing and maybe our old eEdge. I don't know if we have access to that anymore, but you do have these templates. And I would recommend using something like this because it gives you something to leave behind. I have a Unibind machine, so I have a beautiful book that I give my clients for my listing package. And I always drop that off the day before. I'll have that dropped off. So then with a letter that says, you know, browse through here. These are some things we're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk about pricing and, you know, prepping your house for sale and things like that. So it just sets you kind of apart from the others. And it's not a, you know, it's not a throwaway. It is a lovely book. So that's something to consider. And those are in Command. Those are, let me know if you want me to tell you how to get there too, because I'm happy to do that. I think that's pretty much it for today. Yes, so I guess next time you're going to be doing the listing presentation, you might be working on that. If not, we could probably set up a whole class, an hour class just on the listing presentation if there is not a class on that. So we can walk through how, at least how I give my listing presentation and then, you know, Keller Williams input on that too. Does anybody have any questions? Is there something that I missed or you have a, you know, anything that I can provide to you?
In the
Anyone?
elementals section, there's the seller appointment. So I think it goes into more detail. During this part of Ignite is called Spark, and it's the first 2 weeks, and then the second 2 weeks is called Elementals, and there's a seller presentation part then. So it'll be
great.
part 2 of what you just did today.
Oh, good, good. So does anybody have any questions? Anything that I can impart? Anything? Okay. Well, thank you very much for spending the last hour with me. I hope I gave you some information that helped you generate some leads. And it's a very exciting time to be in real estate. It is really kind of, I don't know, my head's spinning. You know, a whole new set of challenges, but opportunities as well. Each market has its opportunities for sure. And so if you don't have a mentor, find somebody to shadow and to, you know, learn from, because that's how I learned. And it was a fabulous experience. It's how I got to, you know, move my business forward quicker.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.